Let's go.
Dr. Rosie Milligan, one of the most sought-after speakers on the circuit today. Her live internet talk show, Express Yourself, is the most provocative, thought-provoking, and talked-about radio show on the internet. There's no holds barred, and Dr. Milligan puts the B in bold. She brings it every Tuesday live at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Rosie has been proclaimed the most provocative female writer of the century. Her books include Satisfying the Black Man and Black Woman Sexually Made Simple, Why Black Men Choose White Women, and the book Nigga Please. These books have raised eyebrows across the country. She has authored 21 books and published 350 titles for authors nationwide. Check Dr. Rosie out at drrosie.com for her books, articles, and archives of her internet talk show. Sit at the feet of wisdom. Dr. Milligan is indeed a timekeeper and scorekeeper. She is the clock, calendar, and almanac for Black America. You need to hear her.
Well. Good morning, top of the morning. Well, it's raining a little bit in sunny California. Well, we need it. We can't complain. Anyway, you're listening to the Express Yourself Hour. I am your host, Dr. Rosie Milligan, coming to you live, as always, with nothing but straight talk. Yes, straight talk. That's how we do it around here. And my co-hosts are the wonderful, the invisible man. You guys know everybody's still looking for Keith, Mr. Keith Swanson, radio personality within his own right. He's intelligent, he's black, and he really does exist. You know, people think he doesn't. Keith, can you say good morning and let them know that you do exist?
Yeah, good morning. I am your artificial intelligence AI construct here to assist Dr. Rosie on her program.
Wow. You guys going to meet him live. You're going to meet him live one day. Okay. Yeah. And my other co-host is Shawannah Bordenay. She's a real estate guru. She's an author. She's a lecturer. She does all about if you want to sell a house, you want to buy a house. I think she does everything to house it but clean them, okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if she can start a cleaning service because this Valley girl knows, she knows what money means, okay? So good morning, Shawannah. How are you?
Great morning, Dr. Rosie and Keith, my AI man.
I'm here to serve.
Yeah, they really want to know about Keith. I don't know why they called up. Is he married? I said, I don't ask Keith about that kind of stuff, you know. But anyway,
it's that voice that does
him, is that it? Oh, it's that voice.
I can't tell you.
That voice is like that very white voice going on.
Okay. Well, he got it going on. He got the women calling, I tell you that. Long as it's the women, I'm not going to worry about the rest of it.
Yeah. I feel you on that one.
Yeah. Okay, you guys, we have a great show for you today, and we have a great guest. In fact, we have a guest. I think I've known her since she was just a little girl. I've seen her, grow up. I've seen her ups. I've seen her downs. But most of all, I've seen her triumph, and I'm so excited about her. My guest today is Miss Carrie Mays. She's a counselor, a life coach, radio and TV talk show host. She's the founder of New Life Outreach Center, a live-in facility for men and women recovering from alcohol, cocaine abuse. This is a phenomenal woman, one who has struggled through life, having some drug challenge herself, overcame that, and just dedicated her life to showing other people that they could change their life, that they didn't have to stay the same, regardless of what other people may have thought about them. You know, when you go through certain things, some people never forgive you. They're always looking out at the side of the eye at you, even when you straighten up and get your life together. But when you know that you know, is the folks say when you know, they have a gospel song, Keith, called I Know I've Been Changed. Mm-hmm. When you know you have been changed, and when you go through this, and when you get counseling, that's what people don't understand. When you get counseling to help you get through the healing process Other people may hold on to what you used to be and what you used to do, but you will not. That's why counseling is so important. So let me say good morning to my guest. Good morning, Miss Carrie Mays. How are you?
Oh, good morning. Wow. Is that me? Is
That's
that
you?
me, really?
Yes,
Good
that's you.
morning, good morning, good morning. And thank you, Dr. Rosie Milligan, for having me on this morning.
I couldn't think of a better person. You know, we can always have people to talk about depression, talk about drugs, talk about whatever, talk about things that they're not a part of. Like a lot of people, I hear them always talking about the church. You know, one thing about the church, they don't do this. And I said, where do you go to church? I don't believe in church. Then what you talking about? How do you really know what's going on? You have to be inside to get the full scoop of what's taking place. And I know you've been in church ever since you were a baby. Your mama had you all sitting up there singing. You wasn't but two. She had you all clapping and singing and even doing the holy dance. I remember that. Okay. So
That's right. That's right.
That's why I think it's so important to talk to someone who have walked the path when they're trying to help other people. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you. But today, we're going to talk about 5 reasons for so much mental illness in the church. Did you guys know there's a lot of mentally ill people in the church? But do they know they're mentally ill? Yes, but they can't come out and say it. Many times they're afraid to even talk about it. So we're going to look at some of the reasons. But first, Karen, let me just have you to kind of introduce yourself, give the people a feel of who you are and why you are so committed to this topic.
I appreciate it. So compelled. First of all, I've worked in this field of substance abuse counseling, mental health for 30 years. And not only that, I don't claim to be a doctor, but to be up close and personal, to have on-hand experience. And after the Lord allowing me to have both sides of the world, I was able to compile and compile these together and say, wow, I must take this back to the church. I must bring on the awareness and let them know the oldest emotion to mankind is pain. We're going all the way back to the Bible. It is the oldest emotion. And when we're talking about in this day and time, experiencing the COVID-19 and all of these different things, it has made a severe impact. And I noticed you were talking about the church. And my thing is addressing the mental health stigmas, far as the importance of identifying the causes. And I think, how can you treat something you don't understand? So when you look at the church is bleeding right now, I've noticed it for about 10 years, and feeling the heartbeat of the people. Not that I love church. Like you said, I literally was born on the pew. Sunday school, I taught, the church, the choir, I played piano. And I began to get connected. It's like I'm a magnet to pain. And I found out just from past experiences, we can no longer listen with our ears. We must listen with our eyes. We have to be able to start seeing the real you, that real person, because what does mental health look like? I mean, when you really think about it, what does it look like? Does it have a feature? Trauma. Trauma is anything that you've witnessed, I witnessed, or experienced something terrifying. I could be just noticing, driving by and see a terrible car accident. That is trauma to the body. And I think what has happened is a lot of people in their past histories and growing up, whether it's child abuse, molestation, going to prison, all these different things of experiences of trauma. And we sat in the church because, yes, we were taught, I was brought up that the church is supposed to be the hospital. It should be. It is. Where we find ourselves running for safety. Church is where I go to get my healing, to get help, to get noticed. But I found out that mental health has been misunderstood. It's been overlooked. And you have people right in the church that are dying, that literally are dying. And I mean emotionally, spiritually, physically so. So going back to what does it look like? Well, back in the day, it looked dressed up, perfumed up, sharp, handsome, pretty, smelling good. And we would walk in like we have it all together. But on the inside, I am broken. Matter of fact, I am holding on to broken pieces. You know, I barely got my hand on the doorpost of the church. And I'm wondering, do anybody see me? Hello, I'm over here. And somehow, some way, I guess from past experiences in having, or shall I say, being connected to pain, a magnet to pain, I would recognize these things in the church, from the pulpit to the back door, from the evangelist to the first lady, to the pastor and the preacher. So I made up in my mind, if nothing else, I want to be that voice for silent screamers.
Wow. That's a mouthful. It really is. And people have no idea. Yvette, I went on the internet last night and I was searching information about depression in the church. And I came up with at least 5 popular, not just ordinary men, 5 popular, Shawannah, pastors over mega churches who took their life via suicide. One person they were waiting for him to come to church. You know how your wife may go on first and you come later. He never showed up. When she got home, he was in the driveway in his car, had shot himself. One minister, while they were having service, you know how you used to have the praying and the singing and the pastor comes out later? They waiting for him to come out of his office. He had shot himself in the church. It is so much mental illness going on. So I thought it was really important to talk about this topic because people in the church, sometimes they think they can shout it away. You hear all that good music, you get to dance, you get to scream, but when you get home, it's silent again, and all that pain comes back. So you wait till next Sunday to go to church again. So it's like a opium high for people. They're hiding behind something. And sometimes they feel like, well, if I tell the pastor, if I tell anybody I'm depressed, they're going to think I don't have faith. They're going to think because God can do anything. You know, all you have to ask them. Have the faith of a mustard seed, and they're trying to figure out how big is that. And it's not about that. But then some ministry makes you feel like you demon possessed. So if you are sitting around people who feel this way, how do you come out and say, I'm depressed? But like you said, how you spot it, I think it's important for our audience to know, for those who cannot come out and say it, because depression is really a serious stigma among African Americans. So, you know, different races have different thoughts about things. So you guys got to understand that we walk different walks of life, have different culture experience. It is really a stigma. And then you have the family stigma, because the family don't want people to know if they say you're crazy. They hide you in the corner. Yeah, they don't want you to come out. They don't want to take you together with them. We want people to know that somebody in my family is mentally ill. I mean, that's bad. When your family become ashamed of you and push you in the back because they, quote unquote, you aren't normal. That's a bad thing. That's number 2.
And might I add, Dr. Rosie, even on mental health, we believe, or we think that mental health is a bad word. It's okay not to be okay. And I'm so glad now that it looks like the world is beginning to get it. I noticed there's more commercials now on mental health. You have more celebrities like Michelle from Destiny's Child and Taraji P. All of these people are coming forth and being more candid and saying, hey, there's something that's not right. It's not okay with me. And I think when we really begin to bring more awareness, expose, really confront, because we can't conquer something we can't confront. But again, it goes back to recognizing. A lot of people want to put a name to it. I don't know what's wrong with me. When I would interview, or shall I say, really talk or listen, because that's really what it's all about, really listening. And they would say, I'm having panic attacks. My heart is racing. I can't hardly breathe. I feel like I'm going to die. Or a lot of anxiety, insomnia. I can't sleep. I'm crying all the time. Withdrawn. I would see women in the church and the music be going on. I mean, we be having a Holy Ghost time, y'all. But again, I will look to my left or to my right, and I would see a person over there withdrawn. Don't look healthy. Maybe lost about 10 or 15 pounds. We have to start noticing these things and looking at the signs. Well, you look at them, we talk about pastors and preachers. Do they really have the time to do this? I was brought up a pastor or a minister was supposed to pray, lay hands on the sick and let, God do the recovering. And do they have time to take out and counsel? I'm not feeling too well. My husband beat me last night. I got to go back home to this. How do I deal with this kind of mental or emotional verbal abuse? So it's almost like diabetes, like a doctor treating diabetes or high blood pressure. We get the prayer, but you better take that medicine if you want to bring that pressure down. So I think it goes hand in hand, and I think it's really important to talk about what it looks like and how to treat it, how to recognize these mental ill, emotional feelings that are going on in the church.
And I think it's good you brought that out because it's really true. I think in general, you guys, we really need to understand why God gave us eyes. The eyes can tell a lot, and there's so much going on. I remember once this minister said to me about a young lady who used to come to church, and she would scream out, Keith, and she would fall out every Sunday, And he said, oh, she is so, you notice her, Doc? She's so full of the Holy Ghost. I said, that girl not full of the Holy Ghost. That's whole the problem. I said, that's a problem child. That girl got some issues. And he go,
it need to come out, huh?
Yeah, and he'd go, what do you mean? I said, girl got issues. That's no hope. I said, you can't hear the pain in that cry. We just have to really start paying attention. But the most frightening thing, you guys, is that since a lot of ministers don't believe in it because they feel like they can fix it or God will fix it, he'll take it away. Then they tend to try to counsel people when they don't need to be counseling nobody. They're not counselors. They haven't been trained to deal with these issues. So I guess they feel bad by referring you to a psychiatrist because they feel like I ought to be able to fix all. So I really, any pastors listen to those members, I want you guys to understand, if you have a mental, you don't go to the doctor when your toe is hurting, you find a podiatrist. So when you have mental challenge, you need to find someone who specializes in how to help you. And Keith, I want to hear from you guys, but let me just talk about, because most people don't realize some of the signs of depression, and those who do, sometimes they rather ignore it, because who wants to think that their child is depressed? You rather ignore, oh, he's just tired, but yet he's been laying in the bed for a week. He's not eating. All of a sudden, he's very fatigued, come from school, go in his room, isolate. Now, they haven't been doing this, but now isolating, not having anything to do with anybody, very withdrawn, doesn't have an appetite. Insomnia, as she said, insomnia is one a symptom also of depression. Sometimes people have palpitation. They think they're having a heart attack because that's that anxiety, it's giving them that feeling. Right. So, and Then they go substance abuse. People who have never been drinking, never been on any drugs.
That's right.
All of a sudden, you see them smoking and doping, and they haven't been doing that before. They become social and family withdrawn. You want to go, we're going here to visit. They used to want to go with you everywhere you were going. They don't want to go. They don't want to be bothered. It's important to understand how important it is when they start withdrawing. And the only way you get people out of that, it's like you have to just almost make them, drag them out of the house with you, because they'll never want to go. But once you get them there, then they'll find themselves enjoying themselves. So they may go back into it when they get home, but at least for 30 minutes or an hour, you've gotten them out of that dark place. So these are things that we have to recognize. We need to pay attention to what's going on in your house. You know, sometimes there's a decreased interest in sex. They don't want to be bothered. Decrease in appetite. All of these things could be a sign of depression. You know?
That's right. And you know what? Depression, Dr. Rosie, is one of the most common mental health problems in the United States, affecting, the statistics was talking about like 17 million people. So if it's affecting just that many people, it's so important to recognize
and talk about it.
Not only recognize, that's right. So knowing the signs and recognizing the problems. And this is what I am trying to bring to the church, is understand, hey, it's okay to not be okay, but we can no longer put a Band-Aid on it. We have to start addressing the problem, getting to the root. You know, we know, just like any other cut, when you don't address that cut, it turns into an infection. And if that infection goes on long enough, you know, it like anybody else, you know, being a doctor, hey, Dr. Rosie, we got to cut it off. Eventually, that infection spreads, and you have to cut it off. So I have come up with some great tools.
Yvette, I'm going to have you to hold your point just for 1 second. We're going to come back with you, too. We have a caller. Right. We're going to take that caller because sometimes they're calling from work and they don't want the man to know they're on the phone. Caller, go ahead. Give us your name. Where you calling from?
This is Franklin Sellers, Sellers.
How are you, Pastor Sellers?
I am just fine. I'm fortunate I had to go to the bathroom because I was sleeping when Tim called me, but I'm here at my desk now to receive your call and listen to the broadcast.
Well, you know, I thought about you when I invited Yvette to come on. We're talking about depression in the church, and I told Tim, I said, well, you got to call Pastor Sellers so he can get on and listen to the show this morning. In fact, I was just about to mention your name. Pastor Sellers is the author of the book Delivering from Depression, Fear, and Stress, a biblical prescription and deliverance. Now, the reason I asked him to listen in, because can you imagine what it feel like, Keith, to be a pastor of a church and your wife commits suicide?
Wow, yeah.
Pastor, you want to share that with us, Pastor Sellers?
Yes, I was in Los Angeles at the time, and I was pastoring a church. It's called Eternal Word Christian Center, and my wife kept talking about she was going to commit suicide. And then my children and whomever else did what we could, but just one day, suddenly, she decided she would go through it with it, and she did, and that's been a very devastating and debilitating situation. And so it led me to write the book, Deliverance from Depression, Fear, and Stress, and many people have told me that is a very helpful book.
Yeah, I think it is. A sister of mine and all her children, one of them read the book, and they all are reading it right now. Hold tight, Pastor Sellers. I think we have another caller. We have a caller from 213. Go ahead, callers. Give us your name.
It's only me, Catherine G. I couldn't log in, so I'm on the phone.
So you're just listening. Okay. So it's important. So, Pastor Sellers, that's why today we're talking about depression in the church. You can't shout it away. Oh, it feels good to get your shout on. Feel good when the music is tickling, your toes and your hand and your feet. But when you get back home, that music, you don't hear that sound anymore. You don't hear that sound. The music stops when you get home. So then what do? You have to go a whole nother week waiting for Sunday to come to try to escape. So there's no escaping from this. It just have to be healing. Like I said, I printed out depression in the church, 12 popular pastors who committed suicide. These are pastors.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay. And these are some of the same people who probably have told you and your children when you went and talked about your situation, give it to God. What does that mean? What does that mean, Keith, when someone tells you just give it to God? Let's talk about that. Brother Keith?
Yeah. When people say that, they're basically they're pushing off their responsibility to you to something else. Mm-hmm. Instead of getting involved. A long time ago, he was actually a Buddhist priest. He said, God doesn't have a body. God has your body. Okay. God sent you to that person to actually do work in that person's life, and you basically push it away.
Send them away, huh?
Send them away. Yeah. You're supposed to, God sent you to help. Okay. They did give it to God, and God sent you. But a lot of people say that because they don't want to deal with it.
And if you can't help the person, you haven't been trained. That's what Yvette, that I keep harping on. I want ministers to stay in their lane. Okay? Some things get beyond you. Send these people to people who have been trained to deal with these mental illnesses. And a lot of people will not. And when they do. Now, one of the other reasons we talked about, number one, we have a race stigma. We have a family. Family don't want people to know that somebody in their family, if they call it crazy. And we need to take that word away, calling people crazy. Because based on symptoms or insanity, a whole lot of people are there, okay? The spiritual stigma. Oh, you can't be going through. You say you really know God, and you going through this. You still crying about that?
Wow.
You can't leave that behind. Your mama left you when you were 2, and you say God is your mama. What you talking about? Y'all understand what I'm saying up in here? That spiritual stigma. So now I can't say nothing, because then if I believe in God, you making the person ashamed now to talk to you. Okay? Now, the other one is the lack of awareness. That is so critical. I'm telling the church community got to incorporate, got to have somebody in these churches who can help people with this mental illness, people that they can go to, because not everybody want to go to the pastor. So have somebody designated if there's some issues, and you can make referrals to professional people, okay? See, with the lack of awareness is number 4, and we can change that. And the other one I'd say, number 5, is spiritual misguidance. Oh, you can handle that. You can do all things through Christ.
Wow.
I'm not bashing the church. I'm talking about some misguiding with people misunderstanding. They take half of a scripture and they just take it to the hill.
Yeah.
Do all things through Christ. You better get yourself to a psychiatrist.
That's the one thing I can say about the Catholic Church.
And pray.
One thing I say about the Catholic Church. Yeah, they give it to God, but they also build support mechanisms with it, because you're going to find AA counselors for alcohol. You're going to find psychologists. You're going to find group psychotherapy groups that are inside the church. They don't just give it to God. They also build structures and support, because the church is there supposed to be there supporting God.
Right.
Okay, you're supposed to build, because it's a community. You're supposed to support the needs of the community.
Exactly.
And it doesn't take much to build a support group inside a church. You have a building. You got people that need needs, or you need somebody to lead it. Okay.
Exactly. Let me give the number out. We got so excited, I didn't even tell the people how they can call. 310-928-7733. You can call us at 310-928-7733. We're discussing 5 reasons for so much mental illness in the church. And our guest today is Miss Carrie Mays. She's a counselor, life coach, radio and TV talk show host. She's the founder of New Life Outreach Center, a live-in facility for men and women recovering from alcohol and cocaine abuse. So and we had Pastor Sellers who joined us, who's the author of the book, Delivering from Depression, Fear, and Stress, Biblical Prescription for Delivery. So we just wanted him to get on because I wanted him to share that story. I mean, can you imagine being the pastor of a church and your wife commits suicide? That had to be a heavy burden for him. And for him to talk about it, Pastor Sellers, I applaud you because most people would let that die down. They would never admit that their wife committed suicide. So that's healing within itself.
Yeah.
I mean, Megan just, didn't she say she was suicidal? I think she miscarried and she was talking about taking her life because the royal family didn't like her.
Yeah.
Folks, this thing goes across the board. It goes across the board. And right now, you guys, we're going to see a lot of it from the pulpit because they're losing churches. And when you lose, sometimes then the members lose faith in it. Well, how this going to happen? How come God can't keep you? Folks, we getting ready to have some real issues. Let me see. I think we have another caller. Caller, go ahead. And Carrie, I'm going back to you.
Caller from 213.
Hear me.
Okay, I think we have another call. Call the 661.
Dr. Mildred Dumas here, Dr. Rosie.
How are you?
I am wonderful, thank you. And I just want to say we also have herbal products, God's medicine, to help with depression.
Okay, very good. Absolutely. There's all different ways, you guys. And I think you should try, like some people say they don't want a pharmaceutical. You want to try something to heal yourself because when you're mentally ill, you're impacting your family, you're impacting everybody around you. So it's a selfish thing for you to want to stay in that dark place. I don't know if either you ever been around somebody who suffered from depression. I mean, it rubs off on you. It puts you in a dark space. You have to get up and kind of run out of that house for a minute. So wait a minute, phew. Because you'll be depressed too. So you have to find a way to get the person up and out and to let them know it's okay to get help. Sometimes all they need, Keith, is for the family to say, look, there's nothing wrong with you. You're having some mental adjustment, but you need help. You can be better. You have not always been this way.
Right.
And you can go on the internet. Yeah, and look at all the people who've gone through depression. That would help when people realize, oh, I'm not by myself. You mean maybe wanted to commit suicide?
Yeah, and it's not surprising because change, any kind of change is going to cause anxiety with people. And we live in this
now, huh, Keith?
Yeah, we live in this internet time where change is so rapid. People cannot keep up with it, and people are going to get anxious, and people are going to break. You're going to see a lot more people breaking. Just you look at the crime rate and the suicide rate just under COVID in a year and a half, it's just gone through the roof because the stress and the anxiety and the rapid change that people have to go through. Man, people are just going to break, and that's going to happen. It's going to happen going forward. So I'm not surprised, and then you play your life out on social media that everybody's supposed to be happy and have this big successful life, and that's not true. Okay, it's not every day.
So true.
And people are trying to live up to men, but especially women are trying to live up to this image that they see online because you go on Facebook and somebody's having a celebration, somebody's going to a party, somebody's getting dressed and going to this function, they're living this great life, and you're not, and you're sitting at home as a regular smegular person doing everyday stuff, and all your friends on Facebook or on Twitter or Instagram are living these fantastic lives, and you're not.
Up there
and
telling lies. That's what they're doing most.
Well, it's not a lie. The thing is, okay, you go to a party, you take a picture. Okay, you might have not gone to an outing in a month, But you take a picture, you add all that stuff up with all the other people, it looks like everybody else is
happy, right?
is living this fabulous life,
happy,
but you, and that causes a problem.
Yeah. Well, let me get the number out again. 310-928-7733. The number is 310-928-7733. And you got to think about the people that church has been their dose of medicine. Like I said, they can't hold on. They got beat last night, but they go to church. They can holler. They can scream. They can try. The sister's going to come and hug them. The mother boy, they going to embrace her, So this has been her or his therapy. But what have happened in almost the last 2 years? A lot of people haven't been able to go to church.
Yeah.
So we're going to see a whole lot of changes, a whole lot of things. So that's why we got to start talking about it. When you have your family reunions, you need to be talking about it. Just everywhere you are, folks, you need to be talking about it. So people will realize this is okay, because there's a lot of depression in these kids. And they don't know what's going on, and they don't know what's wrong with them. They don't know that there are a million other kids just like them, kids who want to take their lives, and so many of them have. So that's why you need to start talking about mental issues with your children.
Yes.
Yvette, what's your take on that?
Just listening, you took my mind back when I was working at an alternative youth center, and I remember this young youth. He was about 15. No one could do anything with this young fella. He was a misfit, an outcast. They just didn't understand, go, whatever, stand in the corner, whatever. And I was a substitute teacher at that time, and I subbed that class. And again, going back to listening, talking is healing. The more you share, the better you feel. The better you feel, the faster you heal. And this young man was on his way out, and I, just got on this level. What's up, dude? What's happening? What's going on? And I began to listen. And as counselors, we are trained to listen. We look for body emotions and cues and what to find, and his head was down. He said, what's up, miss? He said, Miss Carrie, I got to fail and everything, and they trying to tell me to study on my math. I can't study on no math. I watched my dad kill my mom, and I'm the oldest in the family, and I got 7 siblings. So, again, trauma. How can he study his math and he's thinking about what he witnessed, what he saw, and yet you want me to get a good grade in math? Mm-hmm. So put those numbers together. So it's going back again, trauma and depression, mental health. I noticed Keith, I'm piggybacking on what Keith was talking about, getting trained in the church and offering different programs, connecting with the community and finding the needs and assessments of those that are hurting or that have been traumatized. What's wrong with me? I can hear so many people come, Miss Carrie, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling this way? And yes, there is medication for different things. There's herbs. Even what you eat plays a role. Mm-hmm. All of these soda pops. A lot of people don't know that is just Coca-Colas, and I'm not preaching against all these different, name brands, but we really have to start taking notice and educating ourselves. Knowledge is power. And I think becoming trauma sensitive and trauma informed and delivering it to people that are interested, hold a training class, conduct it, get mental health going on in the churches. And knowledge is power, but it's only power when it's applied. And no one really wants to do the work. It's all in the process. It's in the process. And when you start minding your mind, oh, that's a whole nother class all by itself. Mind your mind. How do you do that, Miss Carrie? First of all, I check in with me. I check in with self. Good morning, royalty. How are you doing today? And I ask myself, from a 1 to 10, how is my mental health today? Because we can look like we got it all together. Sometimes, Dr. Rosie, my mental health is an 8. Sometimes it's a 5. Sometimes it's a 10, and I'm feeling good today. But it's so important to check in with self. I thought about Simone Biles. Hello, Simone Biles. I commend her for recognizing and checking in with self. And an Olympic champion, hey, something's not right. I'm going to step to the side. I commend her for that. She recognized it's okay not to be okay.
Mm-hmm. That
and
was
I think
a
it's
great
so
step.
important.
That was very important.
Yeah.
I think that touched a lot of people's lives, and it helped a lot of people to think that, you know, you don't have to be okay. Even when the world is looking at you, it's more about you than the whole world. So it's how people look at us. That's what's going to cause a lot of this depression, Carrie, now with people who are losing their homes. Can you imagine, Keith, what a lot of men are feeling? Because men, you know, their role is being you the breadwinner. You're supposed to be responsible to make everything okay. Yeah. And here you and your family is in the street now because of COVID and because of them lifting the moratorium on the rent. So how do you think... You know, I think we're going to see a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, a lot of suicide.
That's why the suicide rate. That's why the suicide rate of men, and especially black men, over the last couple of years has jumped up like 30%. There's a reason for it.
They're feeling inadequate, right?
People, human beings, you know, psyche is not meant for rapid change like this. It just isn't. And
that's right.
And they're ignoring it because there's not a whole lot they can do about it, because the easiest way to change this kind of anxiety and this kind of stuff is to change the whole environment, and they can't. And sometimes you just can't. And you go through economic decline, and you go through what we just went through. We have all this stress and tossing up of whatever structure that you're under. People are going to snap. And we have a lot more people, and I'm sure you know this, we have a lot more people that are on the edge than we actually think. And they're just on this side of sanity. They're just on this side of sanity. Right. And it doesn't take much to push them to the other side.
I'm sitting here just trying to imagine, Keith, what it must feel like for a man to have someone, the sheriff, come and to set him and his kids out of that house. I'm just sitting here now imagining.
Or knowing that for knowing like 3 months that you're going to get put out and you can't do anything about it. You're just sitting there, you know, just like on death row, because that's the biggest thing. You know, nobody just shows up one day and just puts you out of your house. You know this like 3, 4, sometimes 6 months ahead of time, but there's nothing you can do about it. So you're sitting there knowing there's nothing you can do about it, that you and your family are going to hit the street and you can't figure a way out. It's what's going to happen to your psyche all that time. So by the time, basically all the time, but it's just like some being on death row. By the time the sheriff comes to get you, put you out, you're already gone. You're not there anymore. You're just okay. Just somebody's just going to finally go ahead and put me out of my misery.
Yeah.
Wow, that definitely have to be a more push to make people aware.
If you wonder why, people that are going to get evicted, and they have like a year, 9 months to a year to actually arrange their affairs. Why, when the sheriff comes there, all their stuff is still there and they're living just like they would have been normally? Because they're frozen. They're
disassociation. That's right.
Disassociation, yeah.
And people say, well, why they didn't do this, and you have to be in their shoes, folks. When you don't see a way out, sometimes it come a point in your life, it's nothing you can do. So you just, and you can't, you know, when you're really depressed, Keith, you don't want to do anything. And that's what people don't understand. Right. When you are really at the bottom of depression, these people who are severely depressed, they get where they don't comb their hair. They have gotten what they don't even take a bath. When you start looking at all these symptoms, this is what we want people to know. When you know a person who was always clean cut, took a bath every day, was always clean, was always carrying himself dressed, and all of a sudden his hair is not combed, he's not getting dressed, he doesn't care what he put on. I mean, come on, folks, we got to understand why God gave us eyes. Okay? He gave
us eyes. That's what I came in, Dr. Milligan. That's right. That's where I came in, even in the church, when all the music was going on, when everybody was getting their praise on. My God, I'm telling you, I'm getting a chill just thinking about it. I will wiggle my way through the pews and whisper sweet nothings and encouragement and inspiration. And how are you doing today? And women would just scream from the pit of their stomach, and I would just walk with them. I said, walk with me. And we would go to the nursery in the church doing service, or take them to the back, and I will begin to work with them in spite of, because at that point in time, that was more important. That soul, that broken heart was more important at that time. And even God's word says, above all, and I believe it's in 3 John, above anything else, I wish that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper. That means my soul is my mind, my will, and my emotions. God is concerned. That's it. He's concerned about the whole man. And that's why it's so important for us to manage me. Manage me, how I'm doing. If that sister's not doing well, we need to put our arms around that sister, not just pat them on the back and say, God loves you, and walk away, but hold.
They need to know that you love them too. They need to know it's somebody here that can touch them.
Yeah.
I remember once sitting in church, and this little boy kept trying to get up. He wasn't doing anything that a child would normally do. But she snatched him by the arm, and you know how she was going to snatch it out of the socket. And I looked at her, and then I went to her, and I said, let me hold him. And I took him. I said, can I take him out? Let me just take him for a walk. He's getting rested. And I'm telling you, she came to me later. She said, you don't know what she said. I was getting ready to knock him out in the church.
Wow.
She said, because it's so much going on, I couldn't take no more. And she said, when you took him out of my arm, then I realized that it wasn't him that I really wanted to hit. It was something else going on, and my son was getting ready to be the target. See, when we see stuff like this, we need to say something.
Yes.
You know?
And even pressure breaks pipes. Pressure breaks pipes. So it's like, what are we doing? Our church needs CPR. We need resuscitation. And I appreciate you allowing me to come on and just spread the awareness, because more churches need to know. More members need to know in the church, it's okay not to be okay. But now let me address the wound. Let me find out. Let's put a name to it. A lot of people are so boggled, they don't know what's wrong with them. So that drives them even more crazier, because they don't know. I just know I want to sleep a lot, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to brush my teeth this morning. I didn't comb my hair. I don't want to eat. I'm depressed, or I don't know what's wrong with me. But when we start putting names to different things, or you can get better, and giving them a sense of hope, and it's okay today, because no one likes rejection. No one wants nobody.
No.
I mean, from the White House, to the church house, no one likes rejection. And if I put this big MD on it, mental health depression on it, oh my God, people are going to think I'm crazy. I just talked to someone the other day, and I asked the guy, how is your mental health? I'm not crazy. Automatically, we tie these two together. It's a big taboo that I'm crazy, but it makes you more crazier when you know something's not right, but you act like you got it all together. Now, that's my definition.
That's right. And I think we need to make the word depression, because that's really what it is. We need to have people to be more accepting of being depressed. They didn't bring it on themselves. It's okay to be. It's okay to have a toothache. Yes. It's okay to have a sciatica nerve problem. It's okay to have a headache. So forget about the name. It's okay. Because most people, I'm telling you now, I'm really concerned, because just think about it, Yvette. We don't have places for people to go.
My God.
Look at all the how many mental hospital people. I've known people keep to a call about trying to get help for their son. Mm-hmm. And they said, well, did they? So, well, he's talking about shooting the whole household up. Well, has he done anything yet? Does he have a gun in his hand?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
People don't know what to do. Shawannah, what they gonna do? What you gonna do when you got a person in the house that's really acting up? Everybody's afraid of him. How do you get help? Who do they call?
It's hard. It's hard. The thing is, they have to recognize you there because people show signs of depression. They show signs of way of work you get, and we have to get.
Well,
you're breaking up pretty bad.
Yeah,
Shawannah.
you're breaking up.
You're breaking up pretty
Shawannah,
bad.
you're breaking up. So what happened is, you guys, it's really, because look how many people really incarcerated, only because they were depressed. When you get depressed, people, either they're going to be up, they don't care, they loud, they ready to do anything, or they all the way to the bottom sometimes. They're not doing anything. I just think today.
And even in the prisons, I worked in the prisons, Dr. Rosie, and even going to the jail in the prisons, they have a section for mental health. There's even a different, division just for mental health alone. And I think what we need to strive for, because I worked down on Skid Row, LA downtown, in the heart of Skid Row for 2.5 years. And you're talking about up close and personal. And what fascinated me or bothered me the most is, how did they get to this point where they're walking and they don't even know, they're just existing. They're not even living. They don't even know where they're at, and they're twirling their hair around their fingers and talking to themselves and defecating on the sidewalk. I'm telling you what I know. And in the nude with no clothes on, in the mid-heart of downtown LA. And I mean, my God, I think the last time they did a statistic show, and not only that, but the capacity, we're looking at 20,000 downtown LA. Minds are going to, what happens? How do you get to that point where you just blow a fuse, where you're no longer living?
And these people came from somebody's home, and people say now,
come on, man.
Well, why they can't be staying with their mother? Number one, why they can't stay with their sister? Because there's no help for them to help to get them together, because they'll be, mentally ill too. Sometimes trying to deal with the mentally ill when you don't have help. Not even a daycare center where people could go, not have to be in the hospital, but just to be able to go and just relate and have interaction. There go again. Keith, what are all these buildings for? All these church buildings, they got plenty of room. It's time to call on some of these therapists, call on people who know how to help with these people, and they should be able to walk right up in the church during the week and say, I need some help, or I need somebody to talk to, I need somebody to help me to figure this out. I think this is a good time for church to come out of hiding. What you think, Keith?
You're right.
I think it's a good time.
Yeah,
and
it is.
You guys,
probably be past. You're going to need more of it because it's not going to slow down. Okay, it's only going to get worse. You're going to have to, the old saying, "Pay me now, pay me later." Okay, you don't want to see later.
We can't save them all, but I truly believe that when you save some, they'll go back and help save others. And there's no better testimony than someone that you pull out of the ditch and they go back and try to get somebody else out of the ditch. So if you save them, they can help save others. But folks, this depression, I'm telling you, you can talk to the average person. If they be honest in this life, in this time, Keith, there's so many people who have contemplated suicide within this last couple of years, people that you know, people that you're around every day. But if you ask them, they are afraid to be honest and say that they ever had suicidal thoughts, Yeah. So many people have had suicide thoughts. I had suicide thoughts once in my life when I was younger. So I'm not ashamed to say it. I didn't. So the thing is that I can say to people, you don't have to act out on your thoughts. So that's a testimony that people, you thought about that? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And what if I had taken my life? I mean, the nice, the children that I have, that's inspirational, the work I do, the publishing. When I think about it, so many other people cut their life short because there's no help. But guess what? I wouldn't got help. I was laying up on the psychiatrist's table, desk, up under the desk, holding on to his coat. I did everything I could to survive. And that's why I can stand today, because I got myself together. You know, you can be depressed.
And you know what,
this
Dr.
world,
Rosie?
this stuff can make you depressed. You can't handle it.
Yeah.
So I didn't try
and the
to.
Suicide alone.
But wait,
Suicide alone, Dr.
Carrie,
Rosie?
let me say this. But, you know, during that time, I had some insurance. You see, folks ain't got.
Come on.
I'm saying
Come
that
on.
because a lot of people get help if they had insurance. Back in the day, you had good insurance. You could go in the hospital just for a rest. You know what I mean? But folks, I'm saying, do not be ashamed to go get help. Don't be ashamed.
We got a caller in the background?
Go ahead, caller. Do we have a caller? Your people gonna look at you funny if you know, if they find that you're under therapy. Who cares? To me, freedom came in my life because I learned not to care about people. It was all about me. That was the breaking point, Keith, in my life. You know, that's when I call a breakdown. They said she had a nervous breakdown. I said, no, I had a break up. I had a break up, not a breakdown. I had a break up. I broke up out of here. Y'all can't use me no more. Y'all, I had a break up. It wasn't no breakdown, y'all. I came up. I came up. I didn't go down. I came up whole. I came up not being concerned about what you thought about me, but what I thought about myself. I came up loving myself more than I did to other people that was around me. I realized that I was first. I came up. So, folks, don't you be going through changes. I'm girl, she had a nervous breakdown. Good. She getting ready to come up. She getting ready to come up. He getting ready to come up. So you guys remember that, okay? And just do what you got to do. Okay, you guys want to make some closing comments? Is Pastor Sellers still on the line?
Yes, I'm listening to all who are talking, and I would just like to say, people can be helped by talking with them and let them come out and say what's really inside of them. And then we must realize what God offers in terms of the power of I would say one is the power of the blood, the other one is the word. And when those words are spoken and the list goes on, it can cause this type of demons to go. Well, that's what they are. They are active demons knowing how to destroy a person's life. The enemy came to kill, steal, and destroy. But God has also sent us those principles which will cause that demon to flee from that person, such as the power of Jesus and shed blood, the ever presence of the Holy Spirit, the Holy Word of God, and the list go on. And when people will speak those type of words instead of the other way, they can find themselves with being driven from them and back into a normal life.
And Pastor, what happened in most cases, people don't have anybody to speak a word to them, whether it's from a spiritual standpoint or just from experience. People are isolated. People tend to want to run from people who are having problems, running away when you need to run to them. You know? So it's all about having somebody to talk to. If you can talk it out, have somebody to motivate you to get up, you know, to look at you and say, wait a minute, now you haven't combed your hair in 2 days. This is not like you. What's up, brother? What's up, man? What's up, woman? We just walk around. Well, I ain't going to say nothing. They ain't looking, they ain't acting like they used to act. I don't know what's wrong with them. I ain't going to say nothing. Folks, we got to start saying something. What they're saying, they say now, when you see something, say something. That's in your house, too. That's in your church. That's on your job. That's everywhere you plant your feet. When you see something that doesn't look right, folks, say something. Because sometimes people don't realize they're slipping. They don't realize that that these changes are being made in them. I noticed you're sleeping more, you know. Why you're not going to work? You haven't gone to work in the last 3 days. Why are we afraid to say something? Yvette, give us a closing because it's almost, let's see. Yeah, we got a minute. Go ahead and tell us some things that we can do, or just close us out.
Sure. Reach out for help. That's number one. I think you hit it on the nose, Miss Milligan. Just reaching out for help, talking, say something. You see something, say something. Not only that, but we need trained counselors, trained, qualified staff, beef up counseling in your churches, have access to mental health care. Really start, reaching out to facilities that can come in on Zoom app and in your church and start giving training classes on how to recognize and how to deal with mental health. But for God's sake, always remember above anything else, God is a healer and he's a deliverer. And thanks for having me on this show.
Thank you so much. So you guys, this show is going to re-air. Let me wait for the technician to put it in the box. So those who didn't get to hear it, you guys, you tell them to tune in. He's going to give it to me in just a few minutes, and you'll be able to listen to this show. He will put it in the box in just a minute. He said this show is going to re-air at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So make sure that you catch this show and learn and be aware. And don't be bothered by people when you try to tell them your problem. I know how they'll do. I know how they used to do me. You think you got a problem, girl? Let me tell you mine. No, I'm trying to tell you mine. I don't want to hear yours. Y'all understand what I'm saying? That's how people do. Yeah. You try to tell them your problem. Right. You ain't got no problem, girl. That ain't nothing. You can get through that. I bet somebody else would rather take your problem. When people don't know how to help you, they need to just shut up and point you to somebody and stop talking crazy. You ain't got no business being depressed. You're married. You got your kids doing well.
Come on, Come on.
You got a new car. Hey, you ain't on the street. Look how many people homeless. You in a house. How you gonna be depressed?
We got to meet them. We got to meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
We have to meet them where they're at.
And if anybody ever tell you they depressed, people please accept it as truth. That's how so many people wind up committing suicide and out of here because people don't believe them. They tell most people who commit suicide have told somebody. They girl, you ain't gonna do nothing like that. You got too much to live for. Go somewhere and sit down.
Come on, teach, girl.
So please, you guys, listen. Believe people when they say depressed. You said, well, you don't look depressed. You went shopping yet. If somebody have the nerve, the gall to say I'm depressed, folks, please believe them. It's not about a look all the time. Yvette just told you how people walk into the church doors dressed up, hat, glove, you're dressed to the hilt. Some people will not dress, look bad. Some people do just the opposite. They'll go to the mall, Keith, run their credit cards up. When people are depressed, that's when they blow that credit card.
Come on.
That's when they go buy jewelry. That's when they go charge up everything.
Yeah, because they're not going to be here for the fallout anyway. Yeah.
They're not going to pay for it anyway because I'm not going to be here. So, folks, if anybody ever tell you they're depressed, take them at their word. Take them at their word. Carrie, thank you so much. Yes, take them for their word.
Thank you kindly. This was so rich. Right. It was so informative. Keith, it was a pleasure. I believe Shawannah.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to just sit in with all of you all, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor Selden, for our technician.
All right.
Thank
You're
you.
quite welcome. I'll be looking for another call. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.